Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7, text 5. Apareyam mitastvanyam prakritim vidhi me param jiva bhutam mahabaho yayedam dharyate jagat. Apara, inferior. Iyam, this. Ita, besides this. Tu, but. Anyam, another. Prakritim, energy. Vidhi, just try to understand. Me, my. Param, superior. Jiva bhutam, comprising the living entities. Mahabaho, O mighty armed one. Yaya, by whom. Idam, this. Dharyate, is utilized or exploited. Jagat, the material world. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. Besides these, O mighty armed Arjuna, there is another superior energy of mind which comprises the living entities who are exploiting the resources of this material inferior nature. Please repeat. Besides these, O mighty armed Arjuna, there is another superior energy of mind which comprises the living entities who are exploiting the resources of this material inferior nature. If we go to the original version of this, it said sustaining the universe. Let's look at the original. Besides this inferior nature of mighty armed Arjuna, there is a superior energy of mind which are all living entities who are struggling with material nature and are sustaining the universe. But actually, it's synonymous. We will study why. So we are here now on the original translation page. So, purport. Here it is clearly mentioned, I think it's too small here, can't be done. Go back there. Here it is clearly mentioned that living entities belong to the superior nature or energy of the Supreme Lord. The inferior energy is matter manifested in different elements, namely earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence and false ego. Both forms of material nature, namely gross, earth, etc. That means earth, water, fire, air and ether. And subtle, mind, intelligence and false ego. 3. Are products of the inferior energy. Now, because I think some of you have not come to the previous class. So, I don't know, because I think there will be no context of what we are talking about. So, Krishna is explaining that to understand him, we have to understand him and his energies. And his energies are broadly classified as two: superior energy, inferior energy. And of course, there is third energy, which is which is a living entity. Superior energy is Yogamaya or Antaranga Shakti, internal potency, which is exhibited in the spiritual world, Vaikuntha. In this material world, the external potency is manifested, and that is Mahamaya. What we call as Maya, the illusory energy, is Mahamaya. And the third energy is us, all of us, the living entities, who are actually spiritual, but can be overpowered by the influence of the material nature if they choose to disobey the Supreme Lord. So they can come under the influence of the inferior nature because of their being very tiny. As we know, the soul, Atma, is very small. Balagra shatabhagasya shatadha kalpitasya cha jivo bhago savigneya sachanantyaya kalpate. So the Vedic literature is describing the size of the soul, Atma, as 1/10,000th part of the tip of the human hair. So the cross section of the hair. You know what is cross section? Cross section means, the length of the hair. This is the length of the hair. But if you see the diameter of the hair, how thick it is, and that is called the cross section. So if the cross section is divided into 10,000 parts, that one part is the size of the soul. This is the description in the Vedas. So we have very scientific, specific, accurate descriptions of the soul and also of the material world, everything. So Krishna is saying in the 7th chapter beginning, this is also 7th chapter 5th verse only today. In the 1st chapter he said, if you hear from me, then you will know everything about me without doubt. Asamshayam samagram mam yatha jnasasi tachrunu. If we want to know about anyone, we have to know from that person. Of course, he can lie. Krishna does not lie. So if I have to know about you, for example, I have to ask you, where are you from? How old are you? What are you doing? So if you reveal, then I will understand. So similarly, if we want to know about God, we have to know from Him. We cannot theorize in our minds, in our intelligence about Him, because our intelligence is way too small. What are we thinking? If we are trying to contain the infinite God in our mind or intelligence to understand Him, what are we thinking about ourselves? We are thinking we are so great that we can capture Him. No. So the only way to know Him is nayamatma pravachanena labhya na medhaya na bahuna shrutena. So whichever we may try studying many scriptures, going to many philosophers, or listening many lectures, many kathas are going on. Ram Katha, Krishna Katha, Bhagavad Katha, Vishnu Puran Katha, especially in northern India. Southern India, that culture is gone. People go to temple, do some ritual and come out. In North India, at least there is some hearing, there is some katha, which is good provided the speaker is authorized. Actually, temples are a place of learning. They are a university of spiritual science. They are not simply a place where you chit chat, do something. Everybody is doing their own thing when they go to temple. Some people are sitting like this, meditating something. Some people are doing some homam. Some people breaking coconuts. Ultimately, they don't know why they are doing it. And they go back and then nothing changes in their life. Nothing changes means not that something happened. No. Our lifestyle first of all have to change. Our outlook of life have to change. We have to understand first of all, who am I? But zero. The so-called Brahmins, they are not teaching. So actually they are not Brahmins. They may have thread and everything. They must be doing puja, but this is not the real activity of a Brahmana. Brahmana must teach. He must learn and teach. So anyway, the katha, so many kathas. But even if we go to many kathas, we cannot understand. And you may say, why are you talking then? Close your class, go home. You may say. Here, this katha is different. Pravachana. Pravachana means speech. Ordinary speech is different from revealed knowledge. Here, it is not my speech. What I am presenting to you is Krishna's words. So it is not my concocted, my speculated speech. If it is my speculated speech, yes, then you should not listen. And nowadays, many so-called Babas, Yogis, Gurus, Swamis, they are speaking whatever they want. So, Nayam Atma Pravachanena Labhya, Na Medhaya, with our intelligence, with hearing many people, Bahuna Shrutena, if we read many scriptures, oh, let me understand, I'll read all the scriptures of all religions of the world so that I can understand. No, we cannot understand. Na Medhaya, Na Bahuna Shrutena. Yamevaisha Vrinute Tena Labhyas, Tasyaisha Atma Vivrunute Tam Swam. Whoever Krishna chooses, he will know about Krishna. Krishna has to choose. Then only I will know. Now you may say, yes Prabhu, this is good. Actually Krishna chose me. All of you speaking, listening, reading, all a waste of time. One lady came to me one day, few years ago. I think about 3-4 years ago. So she was having wild ideas about spiritual life. So I was explaining to her, no, there is standard. So I was quoting from Bhagavad Gita. Everything she was saying, I was replying from a verse from Bhagavad Gita. She said, you all have only bookish knowledge. You are just nerds. You are just book knowledge. I have practical. I have personal connection with Krishna. Krishna is talking to me. He is revealing to me. You are all, some bookish knowledge. So this is what sometimes, like you see this verse, Yame Vaisha. Let's. So you see, Yamevaisha Vrinute Tena Labhyas. Whoever Krishna chooses, he will know about Krishna. People may take advantage of, yes, Krishna chose me. You are, like they quote this verse of Narad Muni, not verse, it's a fabricated story of Narad Muni. Narad Muni is such a great devotee, He is the greatest devotee, one of the greatest devotees in the whole universe. He has made many, many thousands of great devotees. But he, unfortunately, so-called Hindus, they depict him as a comedian. If you see a serial, he will be the comedian. They make him a joke. And they made one story, no basis in any scripture. They made the story that, there was Narad Muni went to Narayan and he was thinking he was a great devotee, it seems. This is how they project. And then Lord Vishnu wanted to teach him a lesson. And Narad Muni told him that I preached to this farmer to chant Hare Krishna. He is very fallen, he doesn't have any time, so I asked him to chant Hare Krishna. So Vishnu said, it seems, that, but he chants 3 times a day. Yeah, only 3 times a day, he has to chant every time. Okay. Then he asked Narad Muni to carry one pot on his head with water, and then carry and go around. I think whole universe, something like this, some detail is there. So, and then not one drop of water should fall. He said, okay. Then he went all the way and then carefully paid full attention to the water not falling, and he came back and yes, I did it. Not a single drop of water fell. Okay, did you chant Hare Krishna while doing it? Oh, I forgot. You see, you are busy, you forgot once also you do not chant, but the farmer is chanting 3 times a day, so he is greater than you. This story, nonsense rascaldom is going on in India. You see, Narad Muni is so cheap that when he focuses on something, carrying something, he cannot chant Hare Krishna, is it? They don't understand what is the standard of pure devotee. So, real thing is, Krishna chooses, yes, whoever Krishna chooses, he can know Krishna. But whom will Krishna choose? If I say that Bhagavad Gita is his bookish knowledge, what respect do I have for Krishna's words? People give more weight to some fanciful visions, some dreams, some experiences. They think this is direct connection with Krishna. But book, what is that book? There is direct connection. Directly the words of Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. Directly Krishna is speaking. That we don't take much care. We don't even read. We don't even open that book. And if somebody says, oh, there is bookish knowledge, that itself shows his status. That lady, I told her, Your this rascal statement shows your nonsense level of understanding. You have zero connection with Krishna. You know what? You just get out of the temple now. I told her like you are standing in front of Krishna and directly you are insulting his words, Bhagavad Gita, who is non-different from Krishna. You don't deserve to be here, get out. I told her like that. Because this is nonsense. How can she talk like that? So, real thing is, when people want to show that they are connected to Krishna, saying, oh, I got some dream, I got some vision. Actually, there is a nice verse I just read recently, just 3 days ago, 4 days ago. First canto, 6th chapter, 20th and 21st verse. Let me show you. So, Krishna chooses. Okay, let's see who. Sometimes they think Krishna chose them. Okay, let's see, they have got flight. But Krishna actually did not choose them. See here, 1620 purport. Upon whom his mercy is bestowed can hear him. The Lord was much pleased with Narad Muni. This is about the story of Narad Muni's previous life. Hey, no sound please. This is the story of Narad Muni's previous life, where he was actually a maidservant's son. Then he became Narad Muni in this life. So, the Lord was, this is talking about his previous life when he was that boy. The Lord was much pleased with Narad Muni, and therefore the necessary strength was invested in him so that he could hear the Lord. It is not, however, possible for others to perceive directly the touch of the Lord during the probationary stage of regulative devotional service. That means when we are becoming trained to become a devotee in the elementary stages, we cannot have this direct touch of the Lord. These are statements of Bhagavatam, not mine. Okay? This is Prabhupada's purport, and next the verse itself is said. I'm not saying something from my, is here. Who spoke this? The Lord himself spoke. When he heard the pleasing words of the Lord, the feelings of separation were to some extent. This is okay. Here 1621. Hantasmin janmani bhavan mamam drashtumiharhati avipakva kashayanam durdarshoham kuyoginam. O Narada, the Lord said, I regret that during this lifetime you will not be able to see me anymore. Though this is previous life, not this life. This life he is always seeing the Lord. Okay, I try to understand. You will not be able to see me anymore. Those who are incomplete in service and who are not completely free from all material taints can hardly see me. So this is not some cheap thing, We cannot make it a cheap thing. Prabhupada, he told one story of one woman who wrote a book she is from Mumbai. She wrote one book that Krishna came and he was pulling her sari, asking her to come to Ras Leela in the night. Prabhupada says it's nonsense. So some people think Krishna chose them. Krishna is directly talking to them. Krishna is directly talking to everyone. It is just that we are not hearing. Bhagavad Gita is there for a whole world to read. He is directly talking. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha. The word is said there. How many times Sri Bhagavan Uvacha, Bhagavan Uvacha? That we don't hear. Some dream. When we are awake, we don't hear what Krishna is saying. When we are sleeping, that time we want to hear Krishna. The whole point of Krishna speaking is to wake us up. And this fellow is sleeping, and then he is hearing Krishna in the sleep. This is rubbish. So, then whom will Krishna choose? Krishna will choose a person. In the Adipuran, Krishna says, Ye me bhakta jana partha, na me bhaktascha te jana. Ye me bhakta jana partha, na me bhaktascha te jana. Whoever considers, I am devotee of Krishna. Krishna first of all says, you are not my devotee, get lost. You are not my devotee. Out. Mad bhaktanam ye bhaktas te me bhakta tamamata. Whoever is the devotee of my devotee, who is a servant of my devotee, then I will begin noticing him. That's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu showed us Gopi Bhartu Padakamalayur Dāsa Dāsānu Dāsaha. I want to become the servant of the servant of the servant of the maintainer of the gopis, Krishna. So we have to surrender to a devotee of Krishna, who is a pure devotee, Acharya. In our case, Srila Prabhupada is there. Unless we do this, Krishna will not be interested in us. This is a secret if you want to attract Krishna. Shortcut. If you want shortcut to Krishna, go servant million times, catch hold of that person. You serve him, shortcut. There is a nice verse, King Kulashekar is saying. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Dāsa Dāsānu Dāsa, 3 times, Das, Das, Das. You see what Kulashekar is saying. He is from Shri Sampradaya, one of the 12 alvars. So he said, Majjanmana phalamidam madhukaita bhare mad prarthaniya madanugraha esha eva tvadbhritya bhritya paricharaka bhritya bhrityasya bhritya iti mam smara lokanatha. O enemy of the Madhu and Kaitaba, these are 2 demons. O Lord of the universe, the perfection of my life and the most cherished mercy you could show me would be for you to consider me the servant of 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 your servant. 7 times. There is another verse also. I think this is from Vritrasura. I think 11:24. I think. 6:11:24. This is from the Chatushloki 6th canto. 6th canto is summarized in these 4 verses starting from 6:11:24, 25, 26, 27. This is from Vritrasura. He said, Aham hare tava padaikamula dasanu daso bhavitasmi bhuya manah smareta supater gunamste Grinitava karma karotu kaya. O my Lord, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, may I again be able to be a servant of your eternal servants, again, who find shelter only at your lotus feet. O Lord of my life, may I again become their servant so that my mind may always think of your transcendental attributes, my words always glorify those attributes, and my body always engage in the loving service of your Lordship. So, in summary, Krishna chooses, whoever Krishna chooses, he can know Krishna, and Krishna chooses a person who serves his devotee. Therefore, he says, what is that? Madbhakta Pujabhyadhika. Madbhakta Pujabhyadhika. That means serving my devotee, Krishna says, is better than serving me. So that is how we qualify. This is stated in other verses. So many verses are there like this. Now, Krishna is saying, Tatshrunu, asamshayam samagram mam yatha jnasasi tatshrunu. In order to know him, we must know from him. So when we are speaking here in this temple, we are quoting Krishna's words. So this is not my pravachan. This is Krishna's pravachan. If I tell something, then it becomes my speculation. That is useless in understanding Krishna. But if we discuss Krishna's words and the words of those who have realized Krishna, the pure devotees, yes, then we will have positive scientific knowledge of God. Janati tattvam bhagavan mahimno nachanye kopi chiran vichinman. So, in that knowledge of Krishna, we have to understand Krishna and his energies. Now, if I want to know, say, about Steve Jobs, and if I don't care about Apple company, I just want to know Steve Jobs. That is one of his energies. Yeah, you can know something about Steve Jobs apart from Apple company, but Apple company is a big part of his life. Just an example. So, if you want to know him completely, you cannot exclude this thing. So similarly, if you want to know about Krishna completely, we have to know all his energies. He has multifarious energies. Some material, some spiritual. Not some. When we say some, it is very... it's an inadequate word. Infinite spiritual energies, infinite material energies. But they are summarized in this. So, Vishnu Shakti Paraprokta Kshetrajñākya Tatha Para Avidya Karma Samyānya Tritiya Shaktirishyate. So, this is complete understanding of God. What is that? The potency of Lord Vishnu is summarized in three categories. Namely, the spiritual potency, the living entities, and ignorance, which is the material potency, Maya. The spiritual potency is full of knowledge. The living entities, although belonging to the spiritual potency, are subject to bewilderment. And the third energy, which is full of ignorance, is always visible in fruitive activities. Okay? So these are the three energies. So in our previous class, we have studied the inferior material energy. What is the material energy? He summarized, Krishna summarized material energy. Now you may say, oh, this is all material knowledge. I want to only know spiritual knowledge. I don't want this material. A devotee is not interested in when the enjoying spirit comes, that is material. But when we use everything for Krishna, that is spiritual. Why is a devotee interested in a battlefield? That's probably the last thing the devotee would be interested in, a war. But because Krishna was interested in that battle, the devotee also becomes interested. So it becomes spiritual. So nothing is material. Everything, if we know its connection with Krishna, then it's not material. Then we are learning it in the proper way. But if we learn about material energy devoid of its connection with Krishna, that is material knowledge. But if we learn it in conjunction with Krishna, yes, that is spiritual knowledge. Like for example, creation. Let's say one example, creation. The material scientists are explaining it. There was a big bang, something exploded, and everything came into existence. And that's all. There's no source of that explosion, nothing explained. So we have also explanation of creation in our scriptures. And it's very, very detailed. How Krishna expanded into the Purushavatars and then the three Purushavatars. First Purushavatar, Karanodakashaya Vishnu. From his pores, the universes are coming out. As he is lying, as he is exhaling, the universe is coming to existence. As he inhales, the universes are destroyed. So the entire lifetime of the universe is one breath of Mahavishnu. It's like, and each of the elements, like all the 8 elements, in the previous verse we have studied this, the material energy of Krishna, which is these 8 elements. Bhumirapo nalo vayu khammano buddhirevacha ahankara iti yamme bhinna prakritirashtadha. Earth, water, fire, air, ether. These are the 5 gross elements, Panchabhuta, Panchamahabhuta. And then mind, intelligence and false ego. This is the subtle elements. So these 5 gross elements, 3 subtle elements, combined together form the ingredients of the material world. So this he summarized in the 7th chapter, 4th verse, the previous verse. And we have actually studied this a little bit in depth. How they interact, how each of these elements come into existence. We have quoted from the 3rd canto, 10th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam. If you want, you can go back and watch that lecture, 7.4, on our YouTube channel. So, now in this verse, today's verse, he is describing the position of the other energy. One is material energy. Now, the marginal energy. We are called the marginal energy. Margin means, this way or that way. So sometimes, actually we are spiritual. We are spiritual. The Atma is spirit. But when it is in its pure state, it exhibits its spiritual qualities in full. But when it's overpowered by material energy, then it will exhibit material qualities. The example is given of the beach and the ocean shore, the shore of the ocean. So, here is water, here is land, but then right in the middle is the shore, the beach. In fact, in Hindi also it's like beach mein. It's like in between the land and water. Why? It is land. The beach is nothing but land only. When it is not covered, when it in its true form, it is land. When it is covered by water, we take it as part of the ocean. Now we consider it ocean. When it's low tide, this is land. When it's high tide, ocean. So, actually it is only land. It is sometimes overpowered, sometimes not. So the spirit soul, we are also like that, marginal. So sometimes we can be overpowered by Maya. So that is our position. So Krishna is explaining that, our position in today's verse. So this is the background of today's class, and we haven't even started anything. And already it's 8:20. So let's read the purport. So here it is clearly mentioned that living entities belong to the superior nature. So we have known the material energy, we are the marginal energy. The spiritual energy, just like here there is Mahamaya, in the spiritual world there is Yogamaya. Mahamaya makes us forget Krishna. Yogamaya helps us to remember Krishna. For example, Mother Yashoda, she does not know that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And here in this material world, also nobody knows that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Very rarely people know. So what is the difference between the non-devotee who does not know Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead and Yashoda Maya who also does not know Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead? What is the difference then? In the material world, we forget him, we deny him, there is zero love, zero attachment. Whereas in the case of Mother Yashoda, by the influence of Yogamaya, she forgets Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, so that it will increase her feeling of motherhood for Krishna. If a mother knows that this is God, she will fall at his feet. Krishna does not want that. Krishna wants somebody to care for him as a mother. Not Krishna wants, she wants to serve in that way as a mother. Mother also is a servant of the child. She serves the child. In fact, 24 hours duty. Overtime, all time, everything. So, is it service? So, anybody who wants to serve Krishna in the way of a mother or father, Krishna allows, and Krishna will become the perfect child. And if she knows that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, her feeling for him as a mother will be stunted. It will be out of respect. Fall at his feet, a lot of distance is there in such a relationship. Whereas as a mother, she will try to beat him, try to tie him up. This is more intimate, and Krishna wants that. Sometimes Krishna gets disgusted with people, everybody glorifying him with nice prayers. Of course, he appreciates, but he also wants variety. He wants somebody to chastise him, scold him, tie him up, beat him. He likes that. Therefore, he does mischief to get beaten up by Mother Yashoda. But of course, when she comes to beat him, she will forget. Out of love, she will, Of course, she tied him up though. She punishes him. So he wants that. So that is more, he considers that more than any Vedic shloka. The tying up of Krishna by rope, he considers it better than any deity worship or clothing him in nice decorative ornaments. He considers more because it's done out of love. But of course, now, oh Prabhu, that is good. I also, actually Krishna, everybody is, everybody is, glorifying him. I will do the variety because Krishna is disgusted with all the devotees. I will be the one who will satisfy Krishna. I will chastise him. From tomorrow onwards, I will scold Krishna. Don't go too far. Not that all devotees are offering shlokas. They are all disgusting. I will scold Krishna. I will satisfy. Krishna will kick us so bad. Mudha janmani. We will never see human life in another millions of years. So this is not to be imitated. This is to be for the devotee of that standard. So anyway, so the difference is, although they may not, superficially they may not know the supremacy of Krishna, the non-devotee and Mother Yashoda, but it is worlds apart. Literally worlds apart. One is in the material world, one is in the spiritual world. So there she is fully conscious of Krishna. More than those big scholars of the Vedas also. More than Brahaspati, more than Brahumani, everybody, Brahma also. Lord Brahma sometimes tried to play mischief with Krishna. Yashoda Maya will never do that. He has sometimes doubts, Brahma. He sometimes tests Krishna whether he is really God or let me see whether he is really God or not. Yashoda doesn't care whether he is God or not. She just loves him. So that is higher than Brahma's position. So anyway, so he is revealing himself here now. In the Yoga Maya is exhibited in the spiritual world, Mahamaya in the material world, and we are the marginal energy. Tatastha Shakti, we are called in another word, Tatastha Shakti. Tatastha means in the center. Now here it is clearly mentioned, with that context we will go to the purport now. Here it is clearly mentioned that living entities belong to the superior nature or energy of the Supreme Lord. The inferior energy is matter manifested in different elements, namely earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence and false ego. Both forms of material nature, namely gross, earth, etc., and subtle, mind, etc., are products of the inferior energy. The living entities who are exploiting these inferior energies for different purposes are the superior energy of the Supreme Lord, and it is due to this energy that the entire material world functions. Yayedam dharyate, dharayami. Dharayan means to hold, to sustain. That's why in the original book it is sustaining the universe. But if you see the word to word meaning, dharyate, you see, being utilized or exploited. When this translation, sustaining, it is actually not different, it is the same thing. Sustaining the universe means, it's not that we are holding the universe, I am God now. No. It is like this, the movements of the material nature happen because of the touch of the living entities. For example, 3 years ago I think, I went to this museum, it's a building, it's an old building in Singapore. There were some pictures of Singapore in 1923, 1936, those days. Orchard Road, photo of Orchard Road, 1923. Now, anybody who stays in Singapore, you know Orchard Road is there, like the real hi-fi place of Singapore. It's like busiest and the most central street of Singapore. But 1923 Orchard Road was like a village, one woman was carrying one pot, with water like this and going. Some village sidewalk, Orchard Road. Why I am telling that? Because it would have remained the same was it not for a person who developed the country. Here it was Lee Kuan Yew, who actually accelerated the development of Singapore. So in other words, the material, the matter, it won't change unless it is touched by the by the superior energy, the living entity. A building does not just automatically come up. It takes a living entity, in fact many living entities, many souls, to construct it. The engineer, the planner, the architect, everything, and the workers, everybody, machines, so much goes into a construction. So the living entities are the ones who exploit or manipulate, and they sustain the movements of this living entity, the whole material world. In fact, there is no need for material world if there was no living entities, rebellious. It's like there's no need of a prison house if there were no criminals. But there will be some criminals and government has to provide for them. So we are like that, criminals. The cosmic manifestation has no power to act unless it is moved by the superior energy, the living entity. This is what is meant by sustaining the universe. Energies are always controlled by the energetic, and therefore the living entities are always controlled by the Lord. They have no independent existence. They are never equally powerful as unintelligent men think. Sometimes they think I am as powerful as God. If he is as powerful as God, he should be able to control first of all his bladder. When the urine comes, he should be able to control. That also he cannot control. And he is God. They are never equally powerful as unintelligent men think. The distinction between the living entities and the Lord is described in Srimad Bhagavatam 10:87-30 as follows. Aparimita dhruvastanubhrito yadi sarvagatas tarhi na shasyate niyamo dhruvanetartha ajani chayanmayam tadavimuchya niyantra bhavet samamanujantam yadamatam matadushtrataya. O Supreme Eternal, if the embodied living entities were eternal and all-pervading like you, means if the living entities we are as all-pervading as Krishna, then they would not be under your control. But if the living entities are accepted as minute energies of your Lordship, then they are at once subject to your supreme control. Therefore, real liberation entails surrender by the living entities to your control. And that surrender will make them happy. So real liberation means not that I'm out of all control, I'm a free bird. Just imagine for a second, would we want to be free? You may say yes. Okay, so no law, no government, free. Is it a happy situation? There will be thieves, rogues, all kind of criminals will thrive. So there has to be control. Just like in our own life, when we were under control of our parents, we did not have so many anxieties, right? We just played. As adults, can we play like that? Even the sports people who play, they have a lot of anxieties. They also have a lot of anxieties. Whole countries, watching them, they have so much anxiety. Their playing is full of seriousness, full of anxious playing. But in the childhood, the playing is totally different. Carefree. So, but only when one grows up, then he has all anxieties will start. He has to fend for himself, he has to find money. I think this is a distraction. People don't listen. So real liberation entails surrender of by the living entities to your control. So instead of a bad government, they must come under the good government. That is liberation. Like Indian independence, Swatantrata. So right, in 1940s there was a struggle of independence, right, before 1947. Hearing? Every country has an independence story. Singapore also has, India has, many countries have. Now, before independence, they were under British rule. There was a government. After independence, there was also government. Where is independence? So still there is government, but favorable government. At least that was the hope. Now what happened after that, that's another story. But the hope is, I may be out of bad government and maybe there will be a better government. With that hope only everybody goes to the election and then votes. Hopefully a future ruler will be good. So with that hope they say one good government. So that is our nature. We have to be under a control. So we have to be under the real control of the Supreme Lord, not under Maya. So that is real liberation. Not that liberation means I will become God. Those who think like that, they are rascals. That is what is mentioned here. Therefore, real liberation entails surrender by the living entities to your control, and that surrender will make them happy. It's like a child. Happy. Just surrender to the parents and then the parents will take care of it. In that constitutional position, one only can they be controllers. Actually, that is a fact. So if we become a servant of Krishna, then we will be in total control of our mind, of our body, of all the situation, everything. Goswami means one who has controlled his senses. One can only be a Goswami if he becomes a dāsa of Krishna. Swami means master, dāsa means servant. If we become servant of Krishna, then only we can become the master of our senses. If we try to become the master, then we become the servant of the senses, servant of everything. The more we think we are the master, the more we become the servant. The more we become the servant of Krishna, the more we become the master of our senses, our existence. On Krishna's strength. In that constitutional position only can they be controllers. Therefore, men with limited knowledge who advocate the monastic theory that God and the living entity are equal in all respects are actually guided by a faulty and polluted opinion. So monism means monism, monologue, dialogue. Dialogue means two people at least talking. Monologue means one person talking, like what I am doing right now. This is a monologue. So monism means one. This is called Advaitam. The Shankaracharya's philosophy is this Advaitam. So this is a faulty philosophy. Because we cannot be one with God. We are one in quality, but we are different in quantity. God is infinite, we are infinitesimal. Like the drop of the seawater and the total seawater. If you say the total seawater, it has 35% of salt. And if you take a drop of that seawater, it also has 35% of salt. So quality-wise, same. 35%. But the quantity, here milligrams of salt, there tons and tons of salt. There is a difference between us and the Lord. Qualitatively one, but quantitatively different. So, the monastic theory, those who advocate the monastic theory that God and the living entities are equal in all respects, are actually guided by a faulty and polluted opinion. So, why this verse is quoted? Because today's verse says, Krishna is saying, they are my superior energy. He never said they are equal to me. So, that distinction is being elucidated in this verse. So, the Supreme Lord, Krishna, is the only controller and the living entities are controlled by him. These living entities are his superior energy because the quality of their existence is one and the same with the Supreme, but they are never equal to the Lord in quantity of power. While exploiting the gross and subtle inferior energy or matter, the superior energy, the living entity, forgets his real spiritual mind and intelligence. This forgetfulness is due to the influence of matter upon the living entity. But when the living entity becomes free from the influence of the illusory material energy, he attains the stage called mukti or liberation. The false ego, under the influence of material illusion, thinks, I am matter and material acquisitions are mine. I think I am an Indian. I am proud to be an Indian. What is this? Misidentification. Why we are thinking we are Indian? Because my body was born in India. But I am not the body. That's the first lesson of Bhagavad. So I am not Indian. I am not man, I am not woman, I am not human being, I am a soul. So, but we tend to, of course on general talk we may ask like, how old are you? But actually we are ageless, honestly. Living entity was na jayate mriyate va kadachin nayam bhutva bhavita vana bhuya. Na jayate mriyate va kadachin. There is no Nobody, we were never born and we will never die. The Atma never undergoes these changes. The body undergoes. So if I think I am 50 years old, that means I am thinking I am the body. Of course, sometimes we ask, Prabhu, how old are you? Sometimes they give a smart answer. No, I am infinite. Good, but we are asking about the body. So on in general talk, we may say like that. But we should understand philosophically that honestly we would never take birth and die. So, because we think I am matter, I think that material acquisitions are mine. This family is mine. This is my father, this is my mother. And that is only for this life. What about the previous life? You had a separate set of father and mother. So who is the real father and mother? In the last life we also said, this is my father and mother. Previous life, yes, this is my father and mother. Then now we are saying, this is my father and mother. We have millions of times we have said this. So this is all false identification. His actual position is realized when he is liberated from all material ideas, including the conception of his becoming one in all respects with God. Therefore, one may conclude that the Gita confirms the living entity to be one only of the Gita confirms the living entity to be only one of the multi-energies of Krishna. And when this energy is freed from material contamination, it becomes fully Krishna conscious or liberated. So, we almost come to the end of the session. So, if we just try to understand this part. So, aparayam, apara iyam itastu anyam. So, apara and para, prakriti. Apara means inferior, para means superior. Prakritim, this is word important. Prakriti means what? Prakriti means what? What is Prakriti? Nature. Prakriti means nature. But nature, the exact translation is energy. Prakriti means energy. Like this is, like say, this is my nature. That means this is what I display myself as. So, Prakritim. So people say the mother nature. Nature has produced. How can mother produce anything without father? Mother cannot produce child. So if we say mother, that means there has to be father. So Prakritim, we are Prakritim. The Purusha, the male, Prakriti or energy is always female. Female means that which is to be enjoyed. Male means the enjoyer. Purusha means enjoyer or the male. Prakriti means the enjoyed, the female. So, we are actually Prakriti. We are energy of Krishna. So, we are supposed to be enjoyed by Krishna. He is the only male. We are all actually spiritually female. Even the cowherd boys, friends of Krishna, technically they are female in the sense that they are to be enjoyed by Krishna. They are not enjoyed. In the material world, we are trying to be the enjoyer. We being Prakriti, we are trying to take on the role of a Purusha. Even a woman of this material world is behaving like a Purusha, male. This male mentality that I want to enjoy. That is our problem. Nowadays this is a very common movement. This Klybium. In Sanskrit we say Klybium. Klybium, Klibaha means eunuch. Klibaha means eunuch. Krishna used the word Klybium means weakness, non-manly. Nowadays this is very common. The women think they are man think they are woman. Transgender, what is all this? This is becoming popular now. It was there all the time. Since the beginning of creation it was there. But now they are trying to become prominent. They have their preferred pronouns. They say, oh, you should not call me he. If you are referring to me, you cannot say he. You must say they. Or sometimes ZHE, Z, something like that. Making their own pronouns. It's actually quite hilarious. Because biologically, there are only two genders. No matter what you may say, gender is not a spectrum, gender is binary. There is male, there is female. If a female is thinking is male, there is a problem with the mind. Male is thinking is a female, there is a problem with the mind. You have to understand that. So, but they are making a huge this thing. So, when somebody comes up with this argument, I always say like this. If you want different pronouns, please have your own different toilet. Don't go to male toilet, don't go to female toilet. Go somewhere else. Otherwise you are encroaching in privacy. They don't know whether you are male or female. You are going to the wrong one. So don't do this. So behave yourself. You build your own toilet and do somewhere else, privately. Because this is what it's all about. It's all about the genitals. It's all about the genitals. Whom they want to have sex with. And that's a big identity. Oh, I am this, I am this, I am this. All based on what? Genitals. Their whole focus is on the genitals. They want to have sex with the wrong person. That's it. I mean, for us in the Bhagavad Gita, what is that? That was 7-11, right? Very easy to remember. Dharmaviruddho bhuteshu kamosmi bharatarshava. Kama, lust or sex life. Krishna says, I am sex life which is not contrary to religious principles. That means sex life which is not contrary to religious principles, that is all right. Now what is sex life not contrary to religious principles? First of all, within marriage. Only within marriage. Then, only for procreation. To beget children. This is authorized sex. Anything else is illicit sex. What to speak of homosexuality and all this, so many, they have words now. So all this, what is this? So this is all illicit, basically. All of it comes under illicit sex. So no matter what one's identity so-called is. So this movement has its origin in us. We all are actually female, Prakriti. We're behaving like male. I think lesbian, it's called lesbian, right? Where one of them tries to be a male, one of them tries to be female. And in the gay also, one of them tries to be male, one of them female. But they cannot produce any child. They cannot produce child. What is that? What is that? What is it? What is that? Putra Pinda Prayojanam, and before that, the line Putra Kriyate Bharya, something what The purpose of marrying is to produce child, and the purpose of producing child is to there are many purposes. First of all, make him a devotee, but it is for our own purification also, because in the there is Pindadan, Shraddha ceremony. So the son will do the Shraddha ceremony for the ancestor, the departed soul, so that even if he was supposed to fall to hell, he will be elevated as long as that Vishnu Prasadam is given to him Shraddha every year. He will not fall to hell. So for that reason, Putra Pinda Prayojanam, and for that reason marriage is done. And of course to regulate the senses, instead of unrestricted like pig, having sex with mother, sister, daughter, everybody without any control. Okay, have some control, one woman, and of course polygamy was allowed in previous times when man could manage. Now they cannot manage one house. And anyway, legally also is not allowed. So that was, but still in that marriage also It's only for begetting children and making them Krishna conscious. This is the proper use of sex life. So anyway, we are Prakriti, we are female, but we are having this male mentality right now. This is the original spiritual, what is this homosexuality going on here? We have a problem. We are supposed to be acting as female in cooperation with Krishna for him to enjoy Rishikena, Rishikesha Sevanam. But we are doing Rishikena, Atma Sevanam, like our own gratification. Our senses must be used for gratifying Krishna's senses. Krishna is the only enjoyer. Govindam Adipurusham. Adipurusham means the original Purusha. We are fake Purusha. We are fake Purusha. Purusha Prakriti Sthohi Bhunkte Prakriti Jan Gunan. So that Purusha we are sometimes referred to as Purusha also, because we are in the material world. In the spiritual world they are not considered as Purusha, although they may have male bodies. So we are classified as today in this verse as Prakriti. Now, because time is running out, so just these यया सम्मोहितो जीव आत्मानं त्रिगुणात्मकं परोऽपि मनुतेनर्थं तत्कृतं चाभिपद्यते. Due to this external energy, the living entity, although transcendental to the three modes of material nature, thinks of himself as a material product and thus undergoes the reactions of material miseries. We think ourselves as a material product. I am this body, which is a product of the material nature. This is my problem. So, this is due to the influence of the material energy. And just to sidetrack a bit, a byproduct of this misidentification is mentioned in this verse. Vilajjamana yasya sthatum ikshapathe muya vimohita vikathante mamaham iti durdhiyah. The illusory energy of the Lord cannot take precedence, being ashamed of her position, but those who are bewildered by her always talk nonsense, being absorbed in thoughts of it is I and it is mine. In the material world, actually, everybody is talking nonsense, because it is all based on this only. It may sound very sensible, but actually it is nonsense. It will sound sensible to nonsensical people. So going back, so this is our position right now, 175. And the next verse, how to get liberated from this? Anarthopashamam sakshad Bhakti yoga madhokshaje lokasya janato vidvams chakre satvata samhitam. The material miseries of the living entity, which are superfluous to him. Superfluous means which are actually not concerning him at all, but we think it concerns us. It's not actually superfluous. Can be directly mitigated by the linking process of devotional service. But the mass of people who do not know this, and therefore the learned Vyasadeva compiled this Vedic literature which is in relation to the Supreme Truth. So, in the previous two verses, Vyasadeva, what is said here in today's verse, the two verses, 7.4 and 7.5 of Bhagavad Gita, the material energy and the living entity, Vyasadeva saw this. He saw Maya behind Krishna, in the shadow of Krishna she is working. And then the living entity is under her shadow, under her control, and he is suffering because of that. So he saw this full picture because he was blessed by his spiritual master Narad Muni. Narad Muni, they show him as a comedian. He is the guru for Vyasadeva who wrote all the Vedas. Narad Muni, that is his position. So Vyasadeva saw this and he just did not say, oh, good, I saw. Okay, bye. No. They are suffering, I have to help. This is the compassion of a devotee. He sees, now Krishna is saying, you must know me in full. When we know him in full, we understand that there is a problem. Not with Krishna, but all of us. The living entities in this material world, they are supposed to be enjoying with him. They are here. How can I help them? How can they be released? First of all, release myself, first of all. And then I can talk of releasing others. So we have to release ourselves and help others also become released from this control. You see? So therefore he compiled the Vedic literature to educate us. So therefore we have to take Maya Mugdha Jiver Nahi Swatah Krishna Gyan Jivere Kripaya Koilo Krishna Veda Puran. Krishna, he, in the form of Vyasadeva, he compiled this Vedic literature, Veda and Puran, everything. So much voluminous literature to save us, because we ourselves, we cannot do it. We cannot come out, we cannot liberate ourselves. If my hands are tied up, I cannot release myself. Somebody else whose hands are freed, he can release me. If I am bound and another person also bound, what are we going to do? We have no sharp instrument also, and the ropes are super strong and tight. What chance do we have to release ourselves? I don't. Urudamni baddha, very tightly bound up. So we cannot rely on any other person who is also bound. And we cannot depend certainly on ourselves who are bound. We need the help of a person who has a very sharp instrument and whose hands are untied. He can tie many millions of hands who are tied. That is Guru. What is a sword? What is a sharp instrument? Knowledge. This knowledge. So that's why Guru, what he does, he cuts open this bondage to material world with the sword of knowledge. Jnanasina it is called. Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, so many references are there. Knowledge is Jnanasina. Asina means sword. The sword of knowledge. To cut the knots of material energy. What is a knot? Why? My hands are tied. No, my hands are not tied. Why you are saying it is tied? My hands are free. No? These ropes are not so easily seen. We are bound to this material world. We are bound here. And the greatest shackle is the woman. The attraction for the opposite sex, the lust. Kamaesha, Krodhaesha, Rajoguna, Samudbhava, Mahashano, Mahapapma, Vidhyanam iha Vairinam. When you say woman, it is because I have a male mentality. Of course, woman is woman. But also for the woman, the man is the object of enjoyment. She also wants to enjoy in that relationship. So she is also having male mentality here. So the opposite sex, the lust basically. For a pure devotee, like Haridas Thakur, you see, woman came, very attractive woman came, Maya herself. 2 times, once a prostitute, once Maya herself tested him, his determination. He was not moved because he was fixed in chanting Hare Krishna. That is possible because he is fully pure devotee. But the attraction for the Hridaya Granthi means a knot in the heart. You know, when the marriage, they tie the 3 knots, dead knot, it's like, you cannot remove it. This is the bondage of the material world. It requires extreme mercy of Krishna to sever that. So in the heart there is a knot. If we are so free, then we should be able to easily leave our family and go. No? Why we cannot go? Because there is a knot which doesn't allow us to go. A knot of attachment. So that knot of attachment has to be cut. Because ultimately, whether we like it or not, we are not going to stay with our family anyway. Let's be honest. Whether by death or by disagreement or by spiritual advancement, one has to separate. One has to separate one day. So either it will be in the form of the painful death, both the dying person and the witnessing person in full of ignorance, both crying and both increasing their attachment more so and running the risk of again coming back in the material world. Either that way we separate or we separate with knowledge. So if we separate with knowledge, even if we are in the presence of the family, we will at least understand. It's not that we are asking, oh Prabhu, take sannyas. Not possible also. Not so easy that I will pack my bags and I will go. Go where? We will not last even one day. Once actually Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was having one ceremony where some devotees were taking sannyas initiation, sannyas diksha. They become sannyasis. Few people sitting down. So one person, he was going to take sannyas. He was doing swaha, swaha, and then his wife came, held him by the ear, pulled him out. What are you doing? Come on, come home now. Shouted and brought him back. Not so easy to come out. It's not that I want Krishna's mercy has to be there. So, anyway, even if many people, in this Kali Yuga, this is very, very difficult because there is no brahmachari training also. Because before getting into marriage, actually the boy has to be trained in brahmachari life. He has to know how to live independently of the attraction for women, without being dependent on women. And he has to be not only just that, sometimes in India, a bachelor is brahmachari. If he is not married, he is brahmachari. Then there are bachelor daddies also. Not married but having kids. What is that? That's not brahmachari. And brahmachari is not just a bachelor. Brahmacharati iti brahmachari. Who treads the spiritual path. Brahma means spiritual. Brahmachari means one who is walking on the path of spiritual life. He is brahmachari. Even if he is a grahastha, if he is walking on that path, he is brahmachari. And in the brahmachari stage, especially in that ashram, his only business is that. He is nothing else. Whereas in grahastha business, there is involvement with material nature also. But in brahmacharya, just that and nothing else. And he is trained under the guru. Then he will learn everything. So that is not there nowadays. So how he will live without? When he was young, mother made everything for him. Doesn't even know how to wash his clothes and cook his own food. Forget about spiritual knowledge and all this. Parents now, especially in India, no, you study, I will do everything for you. It's the worst possible training. I remember when I came here, first day, temple, Prabhu asked me to sweep the floor. Morning, sweep the floor. I did not know how to hold a broom. Prabhu was shouting at me, top of his voice. What is the use of your education? No brains, can't even hold a broom. I was holding it like a cricket bat. Because I used to play cricket when I was younger. If any time the cricket, in India is cricket, here this play soccer. Cricket. So I was holding it like a cricket bat. Who will hold like this? So he was, and I was not even sweeping every inch of the place. This is horrible. So he scolded me like anything. What did your mother teach you? What did your father teach you? What did you learn in your childhood? You won't even survive one day if you are stranded on an island. You don't know what is food and what is not also. You will put something and die. Zero knowledge, practical. Just a theory. This is what I am. This is literally my position. Theoretical hero, practical zero. That's it. Mathematics, okay, I could do. Washing my clothes, What is the use? Practically zero. But we are not just talking about these practicality. The main thing is the spiritual knowledge. So the training has to be there. There's brahmachari life. So anyway, at least philosophically we have to understand that excessive attachment for family is the path to utter misery. Because the more we get attached, the more we are creating a situation of pain when we are going to separate. When somebody near, close relative, close family member, friend passes away, what happens? The person who is witnessing that, he is filled with thoughts and images of all the interactions that they had. And the more intimate interactions there are, the more causes of misery there will be at that time of separation. And not just misery, it's complete ignorance. We have to understand from day one that we are not going to be together. This is just a, like a bus stop where people come, like maybe 30 people are there on the bus stop. 2 minutes later, one bus will come, few people will go. Another 2 minutes later, another bus will come. All 30% all dispersed within 5 minutes, maximum 10 minutes, dispersed. So that 10 minutes, if we become very attached, and if somebody is taking a bus, we cry for them. What? No. Who will do that? Nobody. But that's how we are actually becoming fooled by material nature, by Maya. Oh, this is my father. As a formality, we have to take care and respect, but we have to do that spiritually. Sometimes oh, Prabhu, you are asking me to become devotee, but my father, he does not want me to become devotee. So I will respect my father. I will not become a devotee. If Prahlad Maharaj did that, what will we be? We have to know what is correct. And if either father or son or mother or daughter or whoever, if they are not doing it, then see, our real father is Krishna. Krishna said that I am the father of every species of life. So he is our real father from time immemorial. He is waiting for us to come back. But we are not. So we have to go back to him. So that's why Vedic literature is, what is Vedic literature? Krishna's words only. So then once we hear this, because Vyasadeva has written the next verse, Yasyam vaishruyamānāyam Krishne paramapurushe bhaktir utpadyate pumsam shoka moha bhayapaha. Simply by giving oral reception, that means oral means ear. Oral reception means to hear, to listen. Simply by listening to this Vedic literature, the feeling for loving devotional service to Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, sprouts up at once to extinguish the fire of lamentation, illusion and fearfulness. So we have to hear, Shrunu. That is the way the living entity can come out of this material world. And therefore Krishna says, Shrunu, Tat Shrunu, please hear from me, so that you may come out of this. You understand what is material world, you understand yourself, now you understand that you are trapped in this material world, now you come out. How to come out? You must remember me. That's why after this verse 7.5, today is 7.5, if you go to just to see 7.6, he says, all created beings have their source in these two natures. Of all that is material and all that is spiritual in this world, know for certain that I am both the origin and the dissolution. And then next he says, I am the Supreme. Matta paradaram nanyat kinchidasti dhananjaya maya sarvamidam kokam sutre maniganaiva. This is actually a very famous verse. O conqueror of wealth, there is no truth superior to me. Everything rests upon me as pearls are strung on a thread. And then he starts to begin to explain how to see that Supreme Lord in the material world. Because now we are only okay, we understand, I am spiritual, yes, there is material nature, Krishna is the controller of both, fine, how am I going to remember him? Every day I am seeing earth, water, fire, air, ether, all these things I am seeing. I am drinking water every day, I am breathing air, I am hearing some sound. Now, so Krishna is explaining that these are all happening because of me. Rasohamapsu kaunteya prabhasmi shashisuryayoh pranavah sarva vedeshu shabdha paurusham nirshu. You see how we can see the potency of Krishna in day-to-day life. O son of Kunti, I am the taste of water. So when we taste water, we feel very satisfied, especially when we are thirsty. We drink water, very satisfied. So Krishna says, I am the taste of water. In fact, not only water, any liquid. Prabhupada said, even if he is drinking wine or beer, he is getting drunk. If he likes that taste and if he starts to remember, oh, this taste is Krishna, one day he will become a saint and he will give up the drinking. Somehow or other, yena tena prakarena mana Krishna niveshaya. Somehow or other we have to remember Krishna. That will purify us eventually. The light of the sun, every day we are seeing sunlight. Krishna says, I am the light of the sun. I am the moon. Daytime sun, nighttime moon. So there is no opportunity for us to forget Krishna. The syllable Om, Pranava, the syllable Om, if somebody is doing mantra chanting and all these things, yeah, I am that Om, Krishna is saying in the Vedic mantras. I am the sound in ether. Any sound is only possible because of him. And the ability in man. Sometimes, we see some great people, whether sports field or political field or scientific field or whichever field. So that ability is there in them only because of Krishna. Unless Krishna gave them the intelligence and the ability, they cannot. Somebody may be a strong fighter, like Bruce Lee was there. Strength given by Krishna. And when Krishna withdrew the strength, then strong person, but 30 something he died. Krishna can give, Krishna can take. Only by his strength we will have something. Only by his strength we will not have something also. When he wishes to take it. So in this way, of course the verses go on. So he is showing us how we can remember him, so that remembrance of him will purify us. And how can we remember him if we don't know how to remember him? And how to remember him, we will know only if we hear from him how to remember him. You understand? We have to remember him to get purified. How to remember him? We have to hear from him. He is telling how to remember him. Therefore we have to hear Shravanam, Kirtanam. We have to chant his name. Remember, that is also remembrance. So this is the way how a living entity can come out of this material nature. Just like a criminal, if he surrenders to the king, if the king chooses to pardon him, then he will be excused, finished. He will come out of the prison, like that. So we have to qualify ourselves for that. So it's becoming very late. We will stop here. I don't think I have time for any questions also. If you have any questions, you can ask later.